call Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, sir. There's been a great deal in the contribution of the Honourable Trevor Mallard that I would like to refute, but I'm going to start by saying that the process that we're following here is on the basis of the best advice provided by officials who are independent of the government. That's a very important process. The second thing that I would like to put on record is the fact that just before and, in fact, after the dinner adjournment, Mr Mallard attacked the Green Party. Well, could I simply say to the Green Party that tonight I salute you for the fact that I think you have been both constructive and pragmatic in trying to find a very sensible way forward to ensure that the vast majority of people in New Zealand can feel positive about this process. And so particularly to Gareth Hughes, who I know has worked hard and under some time pressure, I want to acknowledge him and thank him for that constructive approach. Mr Mallard made the point, or he suggested that 70% of New Zealanders don't want this option. And I can only assume he did that on the basis of the poll that showed that 69% would retain the current flag. But what he, of course, was quite disingenuously ignoring is the fact that his party and our National Party went to the election last year with a policy that we would have exactly the process that we're now having, and 3 out of 4 New Zealanders voted for this process. So, in fact, more than 70% supported exactly what we are doing here. And that is far more important because that's the people of New Zealand having their say in a general election. Sir, could I say how disappointed I was this afternoon to hear the contribution of Ron Mark in the general debate? Because when a member of this House suggests that the red peak flag is a Nazi symbol, I think he's hitting a new low. There is absolutely no one in this House, sir, not one member who has any Nazi sympathies whatsoever. And to suggest that is an argument that is so intellectually and morally bereft that, frankly, that member shouldn't be here at all. Sir, to resort to that sort of argument shows that he really had no argument at all. Sir, I've also been very disappointed to hear Labour and some New Zealand First members attack the integrity of the flag consideration panel. When you have people of the high standing and enormous contribution to our country of Professor John Burrows, Sir Brian Lahore, Beatrice Famoina, the former Chief of Defence, Rhys Jones, and all the other fine New Zealanders, a very representative panel of New Zealanders who served with them, being attacked by opposition members, I think it's a very sad day indeed. I want to thank them for the terrific service they've given to our nation across a whole range of activities, but particularly in this particular exercise, which I think they have approached with diligence and integrity, and they deserve to be respected and thanked, not chastised and demeaned in this House. Sir, there are other things that I would like to say. Let me just finish tonight by pointing out that I am wearing a badge that's 113 years old. Underneath the stylised poppy that we all now know, and which, intriguingly, has the silver fern on it, and that recognises that it's the silver fern on the graves of New Zealanders who have served and died in battle. But I also am wearing a badge that belonged to my grandfather, Charles Grierson McIndoe. He, as a very young man, went to the Boer War. Won't surprise members to hear that I never met my grandfather. He died long before I was born. But at the end of his service, he was given this silver fern. And along with his Boer War medals, which I wore proudly on Anzac Day for the first time this year, this Boer War badge has a silver fern with South Africa across it. It must be at least 113 years. That is why I personally am so strongly in favour of seeing the silver fern on our flag. But tonight we are debating, acknowledging the fact that there's a significant number of New Zealanders who have said they want a bit more variety in the choice in the referendum process. The Greens have picked that up and worked constructively with the government, and I'm delighted to support this measure, and I thank them for their good work.
Members, the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. And to the contrary, no. No. The ayes have it. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
32 votes in favour.
Green Party.
12 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
12 votes opposed.
Maori Party.
2 votes in favour.
Ag New Zealand.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Members, the ayes are 107 and the noes are 12. The motion is agreed to.
New Zealand Flag Referendums Bill, Amendment Bill, first reading.
Now, this bill is set down for second reading forthwith. I call the Honourable Bill